you like it, whether you don't like it, you are going home. Your time is done. Your legitimacy is over. You are done leading us. You are done leading us. BT is not back. Have you added him, BT? BT was speaking.
Maybe I can speak.
Go ahead.
Wait for him. I think you're wrong. He's not done leading us. He's done robbing us and killing us. So I just want to thank everybody for standing in solidarity with everybody, with all the fallen heroes, all the fallen patriots. You know, there's this analogy whereby, like, if I want to get married, I have to look for somebody who's suitable for me. So a farmer also, when back in the days when we were kids, you'd see like your parents, whenever they're going to look for seeds, they go for the best. You find like maize cobs, wamezihang hapo hivyo, they go for the best kwa hiyo season. I'm just wondering, can't you apply the same principle for leadership? Because we made this monster. We started making it a long time ago. We remember when the likes of Boniface Mwangi, they were protesting during, I think, was it when they tear gassed school children, they grabbed land and we let it slide. ICC came, we let it slide. And here we are. So this is a reflection on us, because all these policemen who are killing, everybody in this government, they are us. We are the mirrors. We are these people. In one way or the other, we know them personally. In fact, we schooled with most of them. But the funny thing is you can't call them out in your own capacities. Maybe you'll lose favor. Maybe you fear maybe losing your friendship and all that. But for the sake of the country, ban it, ban them, ban those friendships. If it means not having friends, stand alone, stand for what is right. At the end of the day, if we let them continue looting, there won't be nothing else to loot. You go to a hospital and you can't get treated, like basic stuff. So we all know what's going on. We know, we can read it. We can see the Western influence in everything, even including that bill, that it has a Western handwriting all over it. Because, for example, for you, this is just an example. You have a toothache in country X, uko majuu. Do you know, if you don't have a health insurance, ukue nayo, usikue nayo, there's that, I think, I've forgotten the terminology, but whenever you fall sick, you have to, there's some amount that you have to pay. The insurances sio kama hizi za Kenya, whereby uko totally covered. So that's what they're trying to sneak in. They want to make medication and healthcare to be extremely expensive, to control the population. You've seen they've successfully achieved that in the agricultural sector, whereby they imposed tariffs, and they've killed some industries. They've killed sugarcane. Who are the importers of sugarcane? We know them. One of them, I think, is it was even mentioned. I think Duale was mentioned. We've seen. We know these things. So I'm just thanking the Gen Zs for standing up and doing what we ought to have done decades ago. I think we were too scared, or maybe we didn't know our identity. But now that we know, we're standing. I'm a Kenyan. I'm standing with the Gen Zs. I'm standing in solidarity with Kenyans and every patriot. Kani kukufa watu wakufe for the sake of a good country tomorrow. to occupy your state house. It doesn't matter. I know kutakuwa na casualties, tukue real, kutakuwa na maybe casualties, labda kutakuwa nazo, but we all have to play our parts. Kila mtu kwa hii space. Niliona watu walikuwa wamefika over 120k. We can influence everything. I know, I saw, I think, Didmas, nikaona nini UDA party, nikaona all those guys. They're getting the message, and the good thing is this message is resonating with all Kenyans. All Kenyans. I think there's a guy, I think is called Kiprono. Yeah, he he tweeted something, I think, in the morning about that was happening in Eldoret. So there were organized groups who are chanting, I think, war songs. They want to counter whatever happened. So what will happen after that? They'll start maybe ethnic cleansing if you're not careful. So we have to stand in solidarity. We have to stand now. This is a clarion call to every Kenyan. It doesn't matter the way tuliona watu wakivote, go vote. This time, in fact, I think kakuna any social event, one of the prerequisites, you have to show your voter's card before you have to part a job or something. Because we know the road, haijanzia Zakayo, the road imeanza huko chini. We've seen guys like, niliona watu wakiongea about watu walikuwa wanaongea about some institutions. All these institutions, ni sisi ndio tuko kwa hizo institutions. So all these institutions, like, we have to do something about it. If not, like, we have to collectively make things work. For example, hiyo Safaricom, tuone hizo ma corporates zenye haziku stand up na haziku stand na watu wa Kenya wakiumia. All those guys, they have to feel the pain. Thank you, Kimuzi. Keep it up.
So my bone of contention with this government is when Ruto assumed power 2 years ago, one of the things that he promised every day was to recover the public resources and money that had been grabbed by the old oligarchies and asijui walikuwa wanahitaji wale wakina Kenyatas and the Mois and whatever. So I think that's one thing that gave so many Kenyans hope with his leadership, and they thought maybe he will do something to recover the state capture that they were promising Kenyans. But since then, we haven't seen anything. The people who stole land from Kenyans, the people who have been benefiting from national properties like the KICC. Juzi tumesikia story that the Kanu party has been taking rent from KICC for since 1970 something. And there has been no effort to recover that money from the Kanu party. There has been no effort to recover the money that was stolen by old people through corruption. There has been no effort by this government to recover land, public land that was snatched by people from previous governments. And that's something that really annoys me so much, because this country should be so far away. Kama watu wangekuwa naiba pesa alafu wanaficha. Kulikuwa na hiyo Pandora paper that revealed that the Kenyatas wameficha pesa mingi sana huko majuu. And Ruto as a person who probably branded himself as a hustler, as one of us, we thought he was going to maybe look into such kind of things, arudishe pesa ya Kenya. So, and then there's another thing that really people haven't talked about, but we need to understand that there has been a growing population of Europeans in Kenya recently, or these years, which is a good thing. People are investing in Kenya, but we also need to look at the government's support for people who have been coming to Kenya to grab land. For instance, the things about wildlife conservancies that nobody talks about. There has been this thing of where people come wanataka to conserve our wildlife, when we have been living with the wildlife for the last so many decades without harming them. But suddenly the people coming in Kenya, they want to show us how to conserve our own wild animals. Alafu they come, wanauzia, hadi nishaona somewhere that they were selling land or they were buying land from native Kenyans at 5,000 shillings per acre. They'll convert that land into wildlife conservancies. Some natives in Laikipia and other places in northeastern Kenya have been kicked out of their ancestral lands because Europeans want to build wildlife conservancies on their lands. Alafu, to make matters worse, when you are a black person, alafu unaenda, maybe you want to go and view the animals, you are not allowed, you are discriminated in your own country. We have hotels like the Giraffe Manor that has been accused of discriminating Kenyans in our own country. So if we're going to uninstall this government and bring in someone else, we need to make sure that we are respected in our own country. People have lost land, their ancestral land, their native land should recapture their own land. Community land, irudikwe, community land. We need to have someone who's going to recover properties in Kenya zimeibia. And I've also seen here Honorable Raila Odinga's daughter, Annalisen. You're one of those people who has been arrogant towards Kenyans, by the way. Fuck you, pia wewe. You are listening here. Next time, if your father ever gets power, respect Kenyans. We are the one who pays you. We are the one who puts you in those power. Nyayo tu.
Thank you so much. Asante sana, Sakwa. I love your writing and thank you for contributing to this space. Next, let's have Captain Dominic Omondi. And then shortly after that, let's have Nelson Amenya, who is leading up our cause in France. He's one of the student leaders there. So let's have Captain, and then let's have Nelson, and then shortly after that, let's have Troy Karani. So just speak after the next speaker is done. Please speak afterwards. We are keeping it at 3 minutes. If you speak more than 3 minutes, I will have to interrupt you. I do not want to do that. So please keep it under 30 minutes. Asante sana.
Yes, thank you. I hope you guys are getting me loud and clear.
Go ahead.
Are you guys getting me? Okay. Now, I just want to appreciate you guys for what you did. The pressure is there, and they are now thinking of a way they are going to stop us from doing this. But we should continue doing this until what we are fighting for is actually actualized. I love what you guys are doing, and I would love for us to continue doing this. All I wanted to say today, I've been thinking that these MPs of ours are voting without thinking what their people are doing because of conflict of interest. Some of these MPs are voting for these bills for them to get money. Let's say the government funding for the CDF and stuff, they are voting this for them to get money. What if the government that we are going to introduce will come up with an idea for these MPs to only be making laws and not having our money or not having the money, the funding, because they think of, let me vote this bill because I will be given the CDF for me to disburse, and if I do not vote, I will not get the money. So it's something like the SMPs are having conflict of interest. We should remove. They should not get the funding for them to only make laws. I would want to appreciate you guys what you're doing. Those who are supporting, those who are injured, those who are in the hospital, you guys are doing good. Let's support each other, take care of each other. And if you are on your course, kwanza those in the forefront, our big bloggers, have a friend, connect with a friend, have a backup, have a family member who's a backup who can act when you are incommunicado. Talk to these people, and I appreciate what you're doing, guys. Let's do this. Nobody is going to stop us. This is a movement, and God is with us. Thank you.
Asante sana. Next speaker, please.
Hi, Jelani. Could I speak after like two guests? I just landed from a flight, so I'm checking into a hotel, and then I'll speak after like two guests.
Okay, no worries. That's okay. Next speaker.
Hello. So actually, I'm very sad about what happened yesterday night.
Please say your name.
My name is Elizabeth.
Okay. Yeah. You're good.
Yeah. So I'm very sad about what happened yesterday. The massive shooting that happened in Githurai, given that I live around the area. There were a lot of shootings around the area. And then on top of that, I'm also very happy about what happened in Parliament. I'm very happy for themselves. Let them first make sure that they have actually done something for the people who voted for them. And so tomorrow, in black and white, let's march to State House, do better than what we did in Parliament. Like, we should go now extra because the world is watching, and we also want to prove a point to these people. Thank you so much.
Asante sana. Thank you so much. Next speaker, let's have Let's Talk Low Kenya. Go ahead.
Thank you, Jelani. I hope everyone is doing okay. First of all, just to encourage everyone not to give up and not to be disheartened by anything that may be going on. Tomorrow we are on, and we're going to have all the energy. And I just wanted to give people a few things to motivate all of us, just to know that we are fighting for our rights, and a number of our rights are under threat of infringement under this leadership. And what gets me the most is that they keep finding ways to bring these changes that are going to affect our rights in a way that we don't really realize until it's too late, except for this financial bill. And I'll just give you one or two examples real quick. For example, the new health laws that were passed last year in October, there were four. They were like a 4-in-1 package, including the Social Health Insurance Act, which now establishes the shift that we are all talking about, together with the Emergency, Chronic and Critical Illness Fund, and the Primary Healthcare Fund. Now, under this Social Health Insurance Act, let me talk about the ECCIF, which is the Emergency, Chronic and Critical Illness Fund. This is a fund that the president mentioned even in his speech today. And I just find it is in contradiction to what they were trying to do with the finance bill. Remember, in the finance bill, they were bringing in proposals which would have meant that there were some tax impositions that would have been implemented on certain equipment. This equipment would be any equipment that is used in any, for lack of a better word, specialized clinic. So if you're going to a clinic that is like a gynecologist, or, for your bones, or if it's for your teeth, the dentist, if it's for your stomach, as long as it's a specialized clinic, any equipment they would be using there would have had that tax imposed on them. And eventually, when such things are done, the one who bears the brunt of the cost is the consumer, who is us. And that would have meant that the cost of treating cancer and other chronic illnesses would have shot way up. And there is where there is a contradiction with this fund that I said is the ECCIF. Because how can you say that you're creating this fund? Just a few months ago, you said we are establishing this fund so that we can help people when they're treating such illnesses, chronic and critical illnesses, such as like cancer. And then a few months later, you come up with a bill that is going to tax, equipment that is going to be used eventually to treat these people. Like, do they think we're fools? What is happening? Or is the tax they're going to take on this equipment what they're going to put into that fund, so that later on they can come and tell you, oh, we are helping you? The other thing with this government, again, on how they contradict themselves, we have the same Social Health Insurance Act says that everyone above 25 must be registered to that social health insurance fund. It is mandatory. And when that happens, they continue to say that after you have been forced to register to that fund, if you don't pay, if you're not up to date with your payments to that fund, then you will be unable to access healthcare. So this is in contradiction to our right to health. In the Constitution, our right to health is not conditional. There is no place under Article 43 where it says you can you are entitled to the highest standard of care when it comes to healthcare, but only if you have money. If you don't have money to pay to this thing that we have forced you to be a part of, then you can't be treated anywhere. That is ridiculous. So our right to health is under threat of infringement. That is the other thing you're going to fight for tomorrow. Another one is our right to privacy. We saw that they even before the president withdrew the bill, they had done away with the proposal that would have given KRA like literally full access to almost, if not all, of our personal data. And I had shared something along the lines of we shouldn't be too excited to see them remove that provision, because what we need to realize is these guys have been after getting to our data for quite a while. In 2021, KRA started social media monitoring. You can Google and you will see it is true. Social media monitoring by KRA was started in 2021, and they have been monitoring your social media since then. It went on through 2022, and last year, 2023, they now introduced the revenue service assistants or officers, something like that, revenue service assistants, I think. These are officers that were trained by the KDF. So these are military trained KRA officers that were introduced to us, I think, towards the end of last year, somewhere thereabout. So you can already see they're monitoring you in very many ways, and that was in 2021. They've started monitoring you. 2022, they admitted that they have started incorporating technology, blockchain, AI, and such like, so that it helps them with their checks, their background checks, and their monitoring of you and your data to know who is not paying taxes or who should be paying more taxes. And then last year, they introduced the military trained KRA officers. Are you seeing the direction they're trying to go? So you can imagine, if that provision had gone through, if they had said give KRA access to all of your personal data, how would that end up with military trained KRA officers and them monitoring you anywhere you post anything on social media? It's not a good look. And if it has not gone through now, best believe they will find a way to try and bring it into fruition. So that's something we have to be very careful about. We are fighting for a right to privacy. Another thing, you saw how Safaricom was snitching on people during the protests and even after. Make noise. Your right to privacy is at stake, even with the Social Health Insurance Act. Remember, I said the Social Health Insurance Act was passed together with 4 other laws. That was the Primary Healthcare Act, the Digital Health Act, and the Facilities Improving Funding Act, something like that. The Social Health Insurance Act, there is a clause there that says that the government intends to digitize the whole health sector. In fact, in the same act, they say that as much as they are forcing you to be part of the shift, you cannot be part of it until you have a digital ID. And this digital ID is something that they've been trying to get us to get for a long time. Remember Huduma number? But we said no to that, and the court supported us. And we almost had the same victory with the Maisha number. Last year, it was supposed to be launched in December, but the court said no, because there were some digital rights groups that went and made very good arguments on our behalf. God bless them. But what happened is that in February this year, was it February? I think so. The courts then came and said, oh, you know what? We changed our minds. We think the government can go ahead and launch the Maisha number. So Maisha number is happening. So you can see they're doing many things here and there, all towards one goal. They've got Maisha number going. And here, on the other hand, they've already said you must have a digital ID to be registered to the shift. And as long as you're above 25, you must be registered to the shift. And on top of that, they're going to digitize the whole health sector under the Social Health Insurance Act and the Digital Health Act. So all of your data is going to be accessible by these people, and they have not told us what measures, if any, they're going to put to make sure our data is safeguarded. The other day we heard of them talking about selling some of our data to Europe, God knows for what purpose. So you can imagine very delicate, sensitive health data of all Kenyans. being stored and handled by this government. Basically, what I'm trying to say is there are so many rights and fundamental freedoms that are at risk because of what this government is doing under the radar, not just on the finance bill. And that's the thing we need to be most aware of. Even as we go tomorrow, we need to know we are not just talking about what they had in the finance bill, but we are fighting for all the rights that they are trying to infringe and curtail. So let's go, people. We've got this. Thank you so much for the opportunity.